If you're doing speed training, you need to be focusing on these three movement mechanics. In this video, I'm going to break down the movements biomechanically and highlight why they're important to improving your clubhead speed. Principle one is going to be hand path length. We want to maximise the distance the hands move in the backswing, so we've got more time to generate force and in turn clubhead speed in the downswing. It's really important that we have adequate mobility through the thoracic spine and through the hips to maximise this area, but there's also other ways we can improve it. So one thing I would always recommend is just find out how much thoracic, so that's your rib cage rotating around your spine, how much thoracic turn you can create in a neutral perspective. You're a little bit limited here. Naturally, you're going to be a little bit limited in how much you can create. And then we're also looking at how much hip mobility and how much hip turn you can create. So if you've got decent or at least adequate thoracic spine and hip mobility, we know that you'll be able to turn enough to increase that hand path length. Then if we just take the club into a golf setup and we just go into the backswing, we're trying to see how this lead arm into this lead hand gets maximal amount of stretch. So the further or the higher up that goes, almost imagine a Bubba Watson, the longer that hand path and the more time we've got to create coming down. From here, we can also look at how can we create more hand path length if we are a little bit limited physically. So we can look into the lead heel. So if you go into the top of the backswing and we almost feel like that lead heel starts to lift off the floor, we can see straight away how there's way more hand path. Naturally, we wouldn't want to move this much off the ball, but we've got to find that balancing point. So that biomechanically, how can we change how the body moves to create a longer hand path? So if we just demonstrate that, if we just do like a short golf swing, you'll see short hand path, not a huge amount of turn through the thoracic or the hip, lead heel stays on the floor, and that's not much space or time to create force and speed. Whereas if we exaggerate those principles, straight away we've got loads of time and we should be able to create lots of speed at the ball. Principle two is going to be sequencing. So how do we move the body in the correct fashion to generate the most force and the most energy at the ball? So if we go into the top of the backswing, in transition, the longest players in the world can sequence their body where they start to fire through the lead heel first. So there's a pressure shift into the lead heel. The lead knee starts to move, the left hip or lead hip gets out of the way, and then the arms are coming down. So if we do that again, so almost think of like checkpoint. So we go lead heel one, knee, hip, opening up, chest opening up, hands, and then club face coming last. So that's kind of creating that very much that slingshot type effect, that slingshot chain reaction that gets the bigger segments moving first, and the smaller segments, the more distal segments from the center of the body coming last, where they're being dragged along with lots of force and energy. A drill or a couple of drills we can do to help improve this, or at least feel what the correct movement would be. If we go to the top of the backswing, we take a big pause, a good clear 3 seconds. To initiate the downswing, we want to get the lead side moving and unwinding first. So you can see there, we do that again, big pause, watch this lead side, initiate the downswing, and then the rest is dragged along. Secondly, we then can also do a stepping drill. So if we go feet together and we take the club away, as we're moving in the backswing, we go into a stride forward. That naturally creates that sequence of the lower body working earlier and the rest coming in towards the end. Third and final principle is often probably the most simplest on paper, but one of the hardest for people to do if they do lack this ability, which is the intent to move the body with maximum effort, maximum intent throughout the whole motion. So what I mean by this, if we think about a golfer who's quite static, doesn't move the hips a lot, tries to stay very centered, kind of focusing on tempo and rhythm, and almost like the ball just getting in the way, we lose the ability to create intent and maximum effort. Whereas we look at a longer hitter, we can see straight away the feet moving around, we're getting some shift of the body, the mass, there's pressure moving in the back, and that helps create momentum early and creates force early and impulse early. So maximum effort, maximum intent is as important as the other two principles that we need to learn to integrate. If you're going to improve your speed, it's absolutely essential you include those 3 principles in practice. If you want to try out my personal speed training routine, click on the video on the screen.